Welcome to the Collaboration Conversation, a listener-supported video podcast where Christian artists, entrepreneurs, and friends share about their upcoming projects and how they are using the gifts and talents that God has given them. This podcast is made possible through generous listeners and friends like you, and we are so very grateful to our supporters. If you would like to sponsor an episode, head over to the collaborationconversation.org and click sponsor an episode. Likewise, if you want to check out or support our nonprofit ministry project Brickworks, head over to projectbrickworks.org. Today, our very special guest is Brandi Wilson. Brandi is a life coach, an author, and a speaker who helps single moms learn how to show up fully for themselves so that they can show up fully for their kids. She has helped start 2 churches, the most recent being Crosspoint Church in Nashville, which I actually attended for a while, and where she learned how important it is as a leader to know your truth and to speak it. Her work now with her ministry, Leading and Loving It, along with her ministry partner, Brandi Wilson, aims at helping women live a life of freedom and confidence. I am so excited to talk to her. This is going to be such a fun conversation. Brandi, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We got to meet so briefly, like the tiniest of briefness in like 2015, way back in the day.
I remember it clearly.
Yes, I'm sure you do. I'm sure I stick out in your mind. Yes.
So funny.
That is so funny. But
that's awesome.
We are just so excited to have you. We don't very often we interview people that we know, and that's always fun, but we get really nervous to talk to people we don't know, but we just have so many small connections and like small world connections that we got to share and talk about a minute ago. And so we're just so excited to have you.
It is very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And I'm supposed to say hi to you from Pam Boer. She's a board member and she loves you and she couldn't say enough nice things about you. So I
adore Pam Boer. The feeling is mutual. She and Chuck are really wonderful people.
Yeah. Well, as we get started, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about you and your boys. And I know you have a passion for horses. All about you.
I do, all about me. My name is Brandi Wilson. As you guys said, I live right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, in Franklin, which is kind of a modern day Mayberry, very sweet and down to earth. And we do our high school homecoming parade. They shut down the streets and it goes down Main Street on a Friday morning. So I live here with my 3 sons who are 21, 18, and 16, which feels crazy to say. My oldest is in Birmingham at college, and then I have 2 in high school.
Wow.
And then we have 2 very high maintenance dogs. Go figure. I live with all these boys, and the high maintenance one are the dogs. But all 3 of my sons play football, so I spend a lot of time at the football fields in the fall, and lots of times running to practice and just sitting there cheering them on. I like to say I'm loud and proud.
Yep.
And enjoy every bit of being a mom to 3 sons.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
We used to live in Franklin, so we're very familiar
with you. Well,
with that area.
My oldest son went to Franklin High as well, but he played baseball. But one year, the baseball team got a limo for that parade. So I have stood in front of graves where you have stood as it all comes by. So
it's the sweetest. Every year for homecoming, I'm like, this feels like Mayberry.
It does.
It's so sweet.
Yeah, I'm glad you're still living that experience. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, so as I mentioned earlier, you have a ministry and actually a book of the same name called Leading and Loving It. And so, first of all, I love that title.
Yeah.
And I would love to just hear a little bit about how that got started, and where God called you, how God called you to start that.
Yeah. Well, in my former life, I was a pastor's wife for 20 years at Crosspoint, as you mentioned, and my friend Brandi Wilson, my ministry partner, co-leader, she's the founder of Leading and Loving It. She actually started Leading and Loving It when she and her husband moved to Central Church in Vegas, and she had a super large staff. So she started Leading and Loving It as a blog so that she could connect the women, staff members, and the wives who were married to men on staff. And what she realized pretty quickly is that it was being read by people like me who were pastors' wives around the United States. So I was kind of going through a situation situation at Cross Point where I knew I needed some guidance and needed to speak into a situation. So I just sent her, as strange as it sounds, I slid into her DMs and sent her a message on Twitter and just said, could we have a phone conversation? And this has been about 14 years ago.
Wow.
She was like, absolutely. And she sent me her number. And I remember filling up all the sippy cups and making sure the favorite TV show was on so that I could go in the laundry room and close the door and have a conversation.
Life with three boys. Yep.
Yes. Life with three boys. And now it's funny to think that because, we know each other's life very well, very dear friends for years. But the fact that I was trying to be so respectful and make sure there was no background noise. So we sat down and had a phone conversation that lasted over an hour. And I remember hanging up the phone and thinking I have a lot of mom friends. And at that point I had a lot of couple friends and I had a lot of girls I could, text about what shoes should I wear to this event or, you want to grab lunch. But I was really lonely when it came to having a ministry friend, a pastor's wife friend. And I didn't realize it until that moment. So that kind of just started this friendship between she and I. And it's back when, you probably might not even remember this, Sarah, but when cell phones first came out, you kind of kept your top 5 people.
Oh, I remember that. I remember.
Oh, my goodness. So we really, it was kind of early in social media, between social media and free calling to calling. We just grew this friendship. She'd come to Nashville occasionally. I'd go to Vegas. And we ended up thinking, how can we take the friendship we have and give it to other people? We're not the only ones who are longing for connection in ministry. We're not the only ones who are lonely. We're not the only ones who have questions. There's no how-to guide when it comes to being a pastor's wife. So how can we help other people who have been who have chosen?
Yes.
Sometimes it feels more like thrown.
I believe it.
This role in their lives, just really lead and love it.
Wow.
That is
incredible.
So cool. Well, I haven't mentioned this to you yet, but while we are very aware, obviously Sarah's met you, my sister, who was a pastor's wife, is the one who called and said, you have to have Brandi on. So
that's so sweet of her.
So your ministry is impacting people that you probably don't even know about.
Yeah.
I love,
for sure.
I love that.
I love that too. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
And she's got 3 boys too.
She does. Oh my gosh.
And they're the same age.
Really, really close in age. She was a pastor's wife and he was at, before they divorced, at Central Mesa, Arizona, Central Christian Church. Trying to think of the pastor's name. Can't think of it.
That's all right.
But
anyway,
so she divorced too?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she and I would be best friends.
Probably.
Yes, you would, especially with the 3 boys, and she's got 1 dog.
Yeah, she does have a dog. Very high maintenance, sweet dog.
Yeah,
I love it. She actually, this is so random. She actually lives with me. She had. I just think you'll love this story. She was in Mesa, and her youngest finally turned 18, and she just really needed a fresh start. She's been in Mesa since she got married. Yeah. And that's where she had to be. And so she, we've been encouraging her for a long time to find where she's going to fit. And so she's trying Chattanooga out. So she came and now she lives in my basement. We renovated a little apartment for her. And anyway, she's a big fan. So I think she'll love that.
We gave her a shout out.
We gave her a little shout out.
And I'm so proud of her. That's really cool to be able to get that fresh start in Chattanooga of all places. That's
I know. Great. So far, it's been great.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Tell her hello, please.
I will. Thank you.
Well, so it's amazing to see all of the things that you all are doing. With women in leadership, and then the ministering to the women who have been through divorce. But I mean, it's all of the women. So one of the things I want to just at least start with is talk about your unhindered life groups. What about this opportunity that ladies have?
I love Unhindered Life. There's an organization in Florida called Blessing Ranch, and Blessing Ranch does therapy intensives for ministry people. So we have at Leading and Loving It partnered with Blessing Ranch for years and years and years. I have dear friends who have all gone through their intensives. Dr. John Walker started Blessing Ranch. Gosh, it's probably been 30 years ago now. And his daughter, Dr. Charity Byers, now runs it. And she recently took the curriculum, the program that Dr. Walker has been walking thousands of Christian leaders through, and she put it into more of a working format to be able to take it to more people. And it's called Unhindered Life. I do it as part of a 30-day reader where it's kind of like a devotion that I take groups through or individuals through. They did a coaching certification last summer, and I got to help develop that, and then went through their coaching certification with them. And now I teach their coaching certification to other coaches who are wanting to be able to take clients through the Unhindered Life model. But it's a really great process of, we all go through things in our life that have left bruises on our hearts. There are heart shapers. A lot of those are positive. And then, unfortunately, there are a lot of negative heart shapers that impact us and leave sore spots and bruises on our hearts. So lots of times because of those, we question different realities in our life. Is God good? Am I good? Is the world good? Are people good? And we just start to, in order to function and survive because of those bruises and wounds, we develop these little T truths and these smallest strategies. For me, one of my little T truths is that I'm not worthy of love. And that's kind of how I have filtered a lot of life through. And I have been rejected, so therefore I must not be worthy of love. So what Unhindered Life does is it takes the situation in our life, and instead of allowing our life to be life authored, we switch the narrative and allow it to be God authored. So we take those little T truths and small S strategies, and we turn them into what God says about us. And we identify our big T truths and our big S strategies. And we lean into really reflecting on self and, what are our life outcomes that we've created because of those wounds, and how can we heal those in order to move forward with healthy patterns. So I am a huge fan of Unhindered. The process is really a really great process. It's super well done. It's been life-changing. I've taken probably about 35 people through it at this point.
Oh my gosh.
I hope it's something I take small groups of 6 through it. And then I take individuals through it as well. I'm taking a couple through it right now. So it's just been a really transformative process for people to be able to identify and deal with the past hurts in order to move forward in freedom.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I feel like this has been, this season in particular is such a good time for that, because there's so many people who through the pandemic don't have all of the busy distractions in their life that have masked these truths that you're calling that, and I know mine is that I'm not loved for who I am, but for what I do. And that's a big one for me. And so, anyway, I just love that. So
I know.
I'll probably, maybe we'll go through it together. That would be lovely. We'll be part of a 6 group. I just love that. That's incredible.
Oh, I know. And
great curriculum.
It really is for such a time as this. So many wounds, I think, just were ripped open. With all that insecurity that we experienced for those 2 years or however long.
For sure.
I think the world has felt unsafe for a really long time. 2 years is a long time to not know what's next, and to have, the racial tension and political tension, and then you add on top of it a pandemic that has impacted the entire world. It has definitely leveled the playing field, but it's also created a lot of people who are feeling unsafe in their normal environment.
Totally.
Absolutely. Well, so another, you have those groups, but you also have a Leading and Loving It retreat.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Once a year, we bring the Leading and Loving It community together in Henderson, Nevada, which is a suburb of Vegas, at Central Church. And we just spend 2 days really investing and leaning in to ministry leaders. We work really hard to create an environment where we can send women back into their ministries, loving what they do, loving the ministry that God has called them to, because we believe at Leading and Loving It, if we can take the woman and make sure that she is healthy and living out God's call in her life and fulfilling her purpose, that's going to impact her marriage, her family, and ultimately filter down and impact the church as a whole.
Yep.
So we work really hard to honestly have a great time while we're together and to laugh and also to inspire and encourage and help lift up and connect women in ministry. So we do that for 2 days. It's October 25th and 26th of 2022. And it's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We do it kind of in the middle of the week so no one has to miss their job at church.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
And, Vegas is a super fun town to visit. So we keep them pretty busy from 9 to 5, and then they have a couple evenings on their own. But it has been really life-giving for me. We've done, I think this will be our 12th retreat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
I can't wait to meet you there in person.
Please. I can't wait. Y'all should.
We should. Absolutely.
I'd love to have you. Pam Booher will be there. She's always there.
There we go.
Yay.
I love it.
But yeah, it's just a really great time of being able to show up and be transparent about where you are in life. I think as leaders, sometimes we feel like we can't be transparent with what's going on behind the scenes in our churches and our nonprofit organizations because we're the leader and we work really hard at Leading and Loving It to say, you know what, everybody's mental health matters, your spiritual health matters, your physical health matters. So we want people to show up and to go back to that safe environment where they might be feeling fragile on the inside, but we're there to help encourage them and move them into the next season of ministry so that they can experience some success and fulfillment.
Oh my gosh. I love it. We're all going.
Yes.
You're going. I'm going.
Great.
We're all going.
And bring your sister. I want to hang out with her too.
Yes, we will. And I was thinking about our pastor's wife. She.
Oh yes.
Kristen was there when they were starting the church plant. And I think she would be she would benefit from that so much. So, I'll bring a little cohort. It's going to be great.
Please do.
Well, this is so amazing to think of all of the different ways that you're impacting women in their lives and their families and their ministries. So one of the things I was reading, and this resonates with me, my dad was a pastor, and my parents ended getting a divorce when I was 18. So this totally resonates with me. But talk about the opportunities that you have with your Unbroken group coaching ministry.
Yeah, I don't think anyone foresees divorce when they are walking down the aisle toward the person that they love. But a little over 5 years ago, I found myself, in the process of getting a divorce. I had married my college sweetheart, and we had done 20 years of ministry and a couple of church plants, and he just chose to walk away from our marriage and family and the ministry, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was devastated. I was broken. I did not know how I would keep moving forward. Life as I knew it had ended, and it was hard. And I did a lot of work. There was a point where I think I realized, like, I have been really damaged, but I'm not destroyed. And I am going to see what I can do to take care of myself and my kids. I think when life blows up like that, it really narrows your focus of what's important and what matters. And for me, it was like, okay, this is the time I take care of myself and my boys. And I spent a lot of time doing that. I've done a lot of work with my therapist. I've done intensives at Onsite. And then I've just done a lot of work as far as coaching and getting certifications and trying to figure out how can I turn my suffering into a survival guide for others.
Wow.
So it's so funny. Not long after my divorce, I started hearing from other women, a lot of them who were in ministry, pastors' wives or on church staffs. And Lori Wilhite would tease me and say, "Oh, you've gotten the divorce ministry you never wanted." And I'm like,
"Oh, yes."
Oh no, it's so true.
Yeah.
So after I had a hard time embracing initially, like, I'm a divorced woman. It's really easy to say I'm a single mom. But there was something that was really hard about saying I'm a divorced woman. But I don't know. I just ended up thinking, like, what are the struggles we go through as divorced women? And ended up creating a curriculum where we talk about things like grief, the stages of grief and divorce, shame, loneliness, how to start dating again, what it looks like to parent through a divorce. And I just put together a 6-week curriculum that I've gotten to take. Actually, my first group of ladies that went through it with me, we just had the best time. And I think it's super important. One of the biggest gifts during my divorce was the support system that God placed around me. And I realized not everyone has that. So like, how can I help create support systems for other women going through this? So this group of 6 ladies that we just walked through Unbroken together really became a support system to lean on one another, to reach out when they're having a hard day, to ask for prayer. But we just shed a lot of tears together, and we also laughed a lot. And one of my favorite parts is the final week, we just spent some time dreaming about what we thought life would look like in the future and what we wanted for ourselves. Now, the really cool part about your life falling apart is that you then have the opportunity to put the pieces of your life back together the way you want. So we talked about that a lot, and we talked about dreams in our future, and it was so much fun. The last night we met for them to just share. One of our ladies said, I love to camp, and I have not camped in about 17 years because my ex-husband hated it. So I am saving money to buy an RV for my kids and I to start camping again.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
Yes.
So we had another lady who's in the travel industry, and she said, I'd love to create some kind of getaway for women going through a divorce where they can do like a 5-day cruise that expenses are paid so that they can just rejuvenate and take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So just to really think about, like, I get to put my life back together. How am I going to use that in order to help others? So Unbroken has been super fun for me. I'm going to end up recording it into a video curriculum to be able to, get it out there as a workshop.
Yes.
But it's kind of just my journey of how I survived my divorce and came out stronger.
Yeah.
It's not what I expected to happen. I never in the beginning thought, I think you just feel so broken when life falls apart.
Yeah.
To think I'm going to come out of this stronger just felt like such an oxymoron of what I was feeling on the inside. But it has really just been such a gift to be able to say, I am divorced. What did I learn from that? And how can I impact others?
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, that's what God calls us to.
Oh my gosh. I'm so encouraged by this. And I hope that our listeners hear, because while I have not gone through a divorce, I recently was in probably the most broken state that I've ever been. I shared about this several episodes ago, but I recently went through eating disorder treatment. I actually was like in partial hospitalization at a facility, and I have never felt more broken. And, it was just 30 years of getting to this place, and then it just all came to a head. And so it's a very different situation. And yet I am so encouraged because I also feel like I am out stronger than I've ever been. And I just hope that folks who are going through things and who hear this, hear that it's okay to feel like there's not another, like that there's no end to this. Right. But that there is so much hope that, if you lay this all down at our Father's feet, that he can bring good and joy out of every circumstance. Yeah. And so I'm so inspired and encouraged by what you just shared.
But I love what you said though about just we're so much wiser later, and we would make such different choices than we did. At least for me, I got married at 18, straight out of Ozark. I didn't know what I was doing, and and we're still married at this point by the grace of God. But if I was in that kind of situation, that idea of being able to put together the pieces and what is this going to look like now would be so different. Yeah. So, that's great for you that obviously God is doing some amazing things through your willingness through your faithfulness. Faithfulness, but willingness to serve others. Yeah. This is just cool. So cool.
We can just see it in your heart. It's just spectacular. Well, just in case you or our readers don't know, our ministry, this podcast is part of a ministry. Our ministry is called Project Brickworks, and we are all about equipping Christians to use their talents and gifts to further God's kingdom and to share the good news of Jesus. That's what it's about. And we find and we believe that you can use your talents and gifts in all walks of life, no matter what vocation you have, no matter what you're doing. And so we love interviewing people and hearing their story, but then also we want to ask them what their talents and gifts are and how they think they're using it. Cause it's just an important part for people to hear all of the different talents and gifts and maybe identify with some. So I'm going to ask you the magical question, which is, Brandi, what are your talents and gifts?
Yeah. My talents and gifts. I'm super relational. And I think that's part of the reason I do enjoy helping others, because I don't want, when we started Retreat 12 years ago, I remember Lori saying to me during like one of our planning sessions, like, what is your vision for this? What do you want people to leave with? What do you want the women? Because we had 140 ladies the first time. What do you want them to leave with? And I was like, I want them to leave with a friend. Because as we've both acknowledged, life is hard.
Yeah.
And man, it's so much better when you go through those hard times if you have somebody beside you. So I'm super relational, and I love to connect people and connect with people and create friendship and help one another through life. I'm also, now I don't want you guys to laugh when I say this because you have been in email communication with me, but I am fairly organized when it comes to things like my home and my rhythm and routine matter to me.
Yeah.
I'm just stink at email.
But I can imagine this about you. Very, very deliberate. That's awesome.
Yeah, I do like to be deliberate. I like to pay attention. And, this might sound a little cheesy, and it's a throwback to how much something domestic can help ground me. But I like creating a home that is comfortable and safe. And, when my kids and I, post-divorce, I sold the house we had been in for 12 years, and I bought the house I live in now. And it was a downsize in space, but man, it was an upsize as far as our family. And I identified it as a house of truth when we first moved in, and worked really hard to create an environment where my kids wanted to be and where their friends like to be. My Richard is a pastor's wife who runs an organization called Fearless Mom out of Austin, Texas. And her kind of go-to is, I'm home, I'm safe, I like it here. And I was like, that's what I want my kids to feel. And that's what I want my kids' friends to feel. And I think, that's a gift that I can create an environment where my kids' friends enjoy being here. It's all about the snacks. It's not necessarily anything I do. You need a well-stocked pantry when you have, especially teenage boys.
Yep.
But I just like having an open home. And I always say, when I have a full house, I have a full heart, having a whole bunch of boys over. Now, it doesn't smell great, but it is comfortable and safe.
That's funny.
So funny.
It smells like boy,
but that's okay. That's awesome.
Sarah has brothers. We know what you're talking about.
I am the only girl, but I just love that, and it's interesting that you were talking about creating a safe space for your boys and for you. But I think that you also probably use that talent during your retreats and during all of your cohorts and groups and things.
Yeah.
I think that's so important, especially in a place where this is not a surface level thing. You're diving deep. What are your needs? What are your core, wounds? And so for someone to be able to be vulnerable and to kind of open up to some of these maybe past traumas or whatever it may be, they need to feel safe. And so I'm confident that what you're talking about in your own home also spreads throughout all of the work that you do.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a beautiful testament. We love one of our favorite things to talk about is how God has established good works for us to do in advance.
Yeah.
And so he knew that he gave you all of these talents many years ago so that in such a time as these that you were going to be able to do this. And so, we serve such a good God. It's very exciting.
Yes.
Amen.
Very good God.
That is incredible.
I know.
I have a feeling you're being humble about this. I'm going to guess that you have more talents than we're
probably
ever going to know about here.
Well, you're a public speaker, so we know that you're a great communicator. And obviously we've been talking today, so we know that about you.
Yeah.
But yes, God has been good to you and has blessed you for sure.
Yeah. Well, so I also noticed as I was, getting the scoop on you, you were involved. Your ministry's involved with another ministry called World Help.
Yes.
And
oh my gosh, I love World Help.
Well, I figure very often we align with folks who are doing some other really amazing work, and I just thought we could give you a few minutes to talk about that and what your partnership looks like. But what kind of drew you guys to this ministry for you to be supporting them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Years ago, I met the now president of World Help, Noelle Yates, at a conference in California, actually, Southern California. Noelle's dad, Vernon Brewer, started World Help. He was on staff at Liberty for years and then started World Help in Lynchburg, Virginia. God, I feel like they just had their 30th anniversary, maybe.
Wow.
Celebrated it in the fall, but our paths crossed with Noelle, mine and Lori's, and we love what she's doing and love the World Help and the way they do their ministry. So we just started talking about a partnership, and we've been able to do quite a few things with them over the years. The first couple of trips we were to Guatemala, and in Guatemala we supported a village where we bought the pastor a motorcycle and built a church and put in a well. But more recently, what we've done are a couple of trips to Thailand just to raise awareness on the sex culture industry there.
Yeah.
In Thailand, a lot of the girls, well, honestly, sex trade is legal. It's very alarming when you go to Thailand and you're walking the streets in Pattaya and you see police officers, and instead of protecting the women who are working, I'll say the girls who are working the strip clubs, their jackets on the back say tourist police. So they're there to protect the tourist because sex slavery is actually legal in Thailand. So where we spent the majority of our focus in Thailand was raising funds to build a baking school in order to break the cycle of sex trade in Thailand. Baking is very rare over there. Most homes do not have an oven. They do most of their cooking on a stovetop.
Yeah.
So if you know how to bake, you have the gift of baking, you've been taught that talent, you can, it like widely opens the doors for jobs that you would be able to do, whether it's baking at a hotel, a restaurant, for a family, starting your own business. So at Leading and Loving It, we ended up raising $150,000 to put in a baking school where these girls can get a trade that they can use to earn money and not have to sell themselves in order to send money back to their families. So
that is awesome.
We've done a couple of trips to Thailand, and we try to do it by taking influencers. And when I say influencers, I mean people who are leading churches who can influence their congregations, get behind the work that World Help is doing. And it was just a super eye-opening trip. I will say it's not an easy trip. It is heartbreaking. I saw stuff that I didn't know existed in the world, and breaks your heart to know that that's the way people live their lives. So it was definitely a hard trip. We've done a lot of work there. This summer we are doing a trip to Eastern Europe, and we're going to help with the refugee crisis going on from the Ukraine. So we're going to go over there and spend a couple of days to help raise some awareness to what's going on over there with refugees. So World Help has definitely just given us an opportunity to be able to serve those who are less than.
Absolutely.
And be able to do it in a way that makes a huge impact. So super honored to have that partnership.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. Well, okay.
I know.
Jeez, that's just insane. And the amount of things that are on your plate, I'm just so impressed. Do you have anything else coming up? Any new other projects that we want to plug or be aware of?
Gosh, I am actually in the process of writing a book. So that is a huge project. So I would love your prayers as I'm putting that together. But I have signed a book deal, and we'll be turning that in August of 2022 to release in August of 2023 is the now plan. So I'm super excited about
that. Is
What's
awesome.
the topic? Can you say?
Well, it is going to be about how to, it doesn't have a final title yet.
Sure.
It's going to be about how to put the pieces of your life back together when they fall apart. I think, God was super gracious to me in small and big ways. And I think, Sarah, you said it earlier, like, how can I help infuse hope in others? There are a lot of people who don't have hope when it comes to walking through something hard. So how can I help others find some hope in the midst of what feels like darkness?
Absolutely.
Can't wait to read that book.
Yeah, we'll probably have you on again if that's okay. We'll promote it. It'll be great.
Yes,
we'll have you back. That'd be amazing.
For sure.
Well, God is obviously doing some just amazing things. And I think sometimes we do lose perspective in the busyness of life and the things that are going on. But oh my word, I just love all that you're doing and that you're allowing him to do through you. This is fairly incredible.
Well, okay, we want to connect people to you. And I know that you love connecting to people. So how can they connect with you? What's the best way to follow you?
Instagram. I love Instagram.
Okay.
I am at Love Brandi Wilson, Brandi with an I. And then everything with Leading and Loving It can be found at leadingandlovingit.com. And then for more of my individual coaching, lovebrandiwilson.com is where you can go for that.
Amazing. And we encourage everyone to do that.
Right now.
Literally right now.
Yeah.
Brandi, this has been so special. And God is so good because we're always so nervous for this. And then it's always just this huge blessing to us.
Yes.
And to like our relationship. And so we're just so grateful now to call you friend.
Yes.
And also that you shared with us today. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys for having me. It's been a great conversation on my end as well. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You guys too.
For more information on Project Brickworks, visit us online at projectbrickworks.org. Subscribe to our newsletter or text BRICK to 55498 to get the latest news and updates. We love you all. Be blessed, and we'll see you next time.